So the other day, I was feeding my dog, and I just wasn't impressed with the setup I had for her food. And I'm glad I wasn't, because that's why I designed and made this CNC project. Today, I'm going to walk you through the process, showing you how I designed the files, made and assembled the project, and how you can turn this into your best-selling product. Plus, you're going to want to stick around to see how you can get the free files that I used to make this project. Let's get started.
So the first thing that we did was draw our shape. Now this took a little bit of time to get these shapes that I wanted, but the really cool thing is once you have all your shapes made, we need two of these leg parts. So I used the mirror tool, and it literally just creates a copy and mirrors it to the other side. Now I have two exact copies rather than drawing and copy and pasting. This fillet tool is really slick. This is actually the first time I've used it, and it's really easy. It's literally point and click, and this is what's going to make everything snap together, because the radius of our bit won't allow our square plywood to go into those corners without these fillets. So I first started with different sizes of fillets, but I landed on 0.125, which is half the diameter of our bit, and it actually was the perfect amount. So something else that I really had to think about was pocket depth. Now this is going to depend on the thickness of your plywood. I went with 3/4 inch plywood, was technically 0.7 inches, and so I went with a 1/2 inch pocket. Now this is how far the plywood joints are going to sit in, how far it's going to come in. So okay, pocket allowance. Pocket allowance is something really important that can save you a ton of headache. And what it is it's an allowance for your pocket where it will either overcut or undercut. So I recommend just testing this out, because there's nothing more frustrating than not being able to get your pieces of plywood together. Say if I didn't do a pocket allowance and I have the width of my plywood was 0.7 inches. And that's the width of my pocket. I know it sounds weird, but 0.7 inch thick plywood does not fit in the 0.7 inch width pocket.
So for this project, we're using 3/4 inch plywood that we got from our local home store. We bought a 4x8 sheet for $90. Man, but plywood is ridiculously expensive. For work holding, I'm using my trusted method of screws, just simple wood screws. I know some people don't like this, but it keeps the project from moving, and I can put them anywhere. I don't have to set up for clamps. All right, so we're using 3 tool paths for this project. To do the lettering on the front, we are doing a V-carve with a 60-degree V-groove bit. Then we are changing that out for a 1/4 inch compression bit. So it's going to do all of our pockets and all of our profile toolpaths to cut all of our pieces out. I really like using the compression bit here because it gives you a clean top surface and bottom surface of your workpiece. When both of those edges are exposed, it makes cleanup a lot easier. And we went through a bunch of different design iterations along the way. But one of the main ones that I talked about in the software setup was the pocket allowance. The first one that we did, as you can see, was extremely loose. This was a negative 0.03 pocket allowance, and I couldn't even assemble it. So immediately when we went to version number 2, I changed that pocket allowance to negative 0.01, and that was perfect. So that was one of the changes we made along the way in one of the tests. Now this is going to depend on speeds and feeds, but overall, I think most machines can cut this project in about 20 minutes. So after the CNC did its job, then it was time for us to do our job. And that required some sanding. I used a couple different techniques here. We used our hands, but then we also used one of my favorite Milwaukee sanding tools, a detail sander, which it'll be linked in the description below. I use that all the time for sanding projects that come off from the CNC. So once we had everything sanded, it was time to do the staining. I wanted to stain this a nice dark color, and I always use a pre-stain first. If you ever stain something and it looks blotchy or uneven, this helps even the stain out. And then I stained it dark walnut. You can see I did this before we assembled anything. It's a lot easier to stain everything before we assembled. But after everything was dry, we assembled, everything snapped together really, really well. I'm really happy with the size of these joints. And we added some wood glue, just some wood glue into these joints. And there's no fasteners in this at all. It's all just snapped together and glued. So now that we have this physical product finished, how can we sell it? How can we turn this into our best selling CNC product? So I've got some ideas here. And the first thing is we're in a very, very strong niche. Dog ownership is massive. And we spend a lot of money on our pets. I don't know if you're a dog person. Actually, let's run a test. Let's say if you're a dog person, hit the like button. And if you're anything else, leave a comment. And let's do a test here. Let's see who wins. Dog people, cat people, fish people, bird people, reptile people. Sorry if I left your pet out. That is not the intention. So obviously we know our niche. The next question that comes to mind is, where are these people? Where are pet owners? What are they looking for? Where are they looking for it? Where do they hang out? And so the reason to ask ourselves that question is because then we know where to put our product. So the number one thing that comes to mind here is Facebook. So we're actually going to do a test. Right now I'm going to take my phone out and I'm going to take a picture of this and I'm going to post it to my personal Facebook page and say, look what I made for my dog. I'm not going to put anything about pricing. I'm not going to put anything that is for sale. There you go. What did I tell you? Facebook is the place to go for something like this. Now, I've got additional ideas. This isn't just post it to Facebook and you're going to get rich. A couple additional ways that I thought of is approaching vet clinics, veterinarian offices, and being like, hey, can I display these in your office? Even if you don't want to do the transaction, can I put one up and put my business card on it or something like that? You could take this same approach with humane societies or local pet stores. So what should we sell this for? Well, the numbers that come to mind are $50 to $75, depending. It's taken in a lot of different factors, right? But I think it's definitely above a $50 item. Depending on size, it may go all the way up to $100. We don't have that much into this to where if we used a pricing formula, we would be way undercharging the market. So we use 3/4 inch material, 4x8 sheet. I did some math and figured out we can get roughly 6 of these out of one sheet, which makes each one $15. And then I'm throwing in $3 for consumables, sandpaper, glue, those types of things. So material-wise, we're into this at $18. You can make this in under an hour. So let's just let's not put our time onto it yet. Let's just keep that in our mind. So if we take our $75 minus our $18, that's $57. Now, that's not all profit, but, we're going to have some other, maybe fees or anything like that. And I think for that reason, this is a great product that can become a very, very profitable product for you. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, these files are available for free. Thank you to Vectric for sponsoring this video. You can head down to the description, follow the link right below here, and it'll take you directly to the project page on Vectric's website, and you can download these files and make it yourself. But this isn't the only free file that you can get from Vectric's website that I have made. There are a lot of other projects that I've partnered with them on, and you can get those files for free as well. Now, you do have to have Vectric's software in order to use these files. So if you don't have Vectric, maybe now is the time to upgrade your CNC software. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go feed my dog.